Dwayne, I'm going to pass over to you to just get the ball rolling with Krista and Helgard. So if you just want to fire away with a couple of questions and get things happening.
Yes. Okay, so Christu, you guys wanted to do an introduction and an opener for all of us, so the guys on the live stream just understand exactly how far down the road and exactly what we're doing and where we're going with the whole Bultfontein story. So I think that's our starting point, and I'm going to hand over to Christu to start, and then we take it forward from there.
Thank you, Brian. Yes, I just like to thank you for the opportunity to participate in the program with you, Scott, tonight. So I'm going to give you a summary and background what already is happening in Bultfontein. So I will try to make it quickly. If I might just put on my glasses. Yes, for the past 4 to 5 years, we have been varied here in Bultfontein under tremendous droughts. Last year we had an above average maize crop, which unfortunately gave rise to a very low maize price. These circumstances beyond our farmers' control have resulted in many of our farmers' death, simply being unable to continue farming. Here in South Africa, we as farmers do not get any help or subsidy from the government. Every farmer here is entirely on his own. No help whatsoever Dwayne, from government or nobody. That is why we as farmers have been forced to approach the financial institutions such as the banks for financing. This financing is therefore accompanied by a lot of risk as well as strict conditions. In most cases, Dwayne, and that's so important, farmers had to provide their land as security to the banks and or financial institution in order to obtain the funds that we need. The banks make use of an independent valuator to validate your land, and according to a certain percentage of the valuation is then loaned to you as a farmer. So the banks are here, they make sure that they are safe, they use an independent valuator, and then when they are satisfied, then you get your loan. Due to these past few years of droughts, as well as the political circumstances such as land expropriation without compensation in South Africa, and also the land values that have fallen tremendously due to the fact that there are simply no more farmers who are financially capable to buy land. Farmers cannot repay the loan from the bank. Now, what is happening now? The bank then claims your land that you have given as security, and they sell your farm. The farm does not even reach half of what its value is. The bank sells the land and keeps you as a farmer still responsible for the outstanding debt. Now you are sitting with a farmer who has lost his land, lost his only income, he has no implements, and the bank is still looking for the outstanding amount from the farmer. That is where the Bultfontein Awareness Group originated, and it was decided that something had to be done to help these farmers. It was decided to set up a class action against the banks and the government, in which we want the court to force the banks and the government to bear the risk with the farmers in this exceptional case. Dwayne, if I can tell you this will be a first of a kind class action where farmers acted against financial institutions, and this will make the way for new legislation in South Africa. It will be the first, our group. The banks and financial institutions also had to bear in mind that there can be circumstances where both parties need to carry the risk. but now the farmer only has to pay the price, while the bank were happy to take the farmer's land as security when the valuation fit their pockets. Our awareness group intends and anticipates to succeed with the group action in order to implement legislation that will assist farmers in South Africa who are victims of drought-declared disaster areas. The group are currently busy with restructuring of their individual obligations towards creditors. These applications will also be used in support of the group action. Unfortunately, Dwayne, this class action is going to cost us a lot of money that are urgently needed, and that is where we ask the listeners to assist us in this matter. So I think I've briefly summarized this what the class action is about.
Krista, how much money is needed by the farmers to actually cover the legal expenses?
Scott, it is a legal action where you take banks on and huge companies. Yeah. It will almost cost you 7 to 8 million rand, from 6 to 8 million rand, South African rand. Then you can go to the Constitutional Court, the highest court in South Africa, where we will win the case for sure, because the government has declared Bultfontein and the neighbor towns already as drought disaster areas. But what do they do for us? Nothing. So it's just in word. We need to take them to court, and so that there can be legislation, so that we can know the path forward.
Now, shouldn't you be suing the government? Because, as you said, your area has been declared a disaster area, and under that, aren't they supposed to provide financial help to the farmers?
Yes, Scott, you are correct there. But you know the government in South Africa. We've looked to all sources. We've asked them where's the money, where they're supposed to have in cases like drought-restricted areas, but we couldn't find any answers. So we must take them now to court and ask them where's the money. Ask them where's the money, and the farms are still repossessed our implements, and they still auction our farms. Nobody stops them, and the governments must help with that, to stop the auctions as well as the repossessing of vehicles and tractors and all farm equipments.
Yeah. We had that tragic case earlier this week where that fellow with the game farm had the 2 vehicles taken off him.
Yes, good. I did that video for you. I've shown you that Westbank, Division Office National Bank, has repossessed CNL's vehicles. Game farmer from Heineman, who is also a member of the awareness committee.
Right.
And that was a very sad day for all of us.
Right. Now, basically, to raise the sort of money you're talking about, you really need a white knight, someone who's got a lot of money, to come in and basically bankroll the action. That would probably be the easiest way to make this work, wouldn't it?
It will definitely, Scott. We're praying for that. So we believe we will have somebody that will look after us, and we are going through with this class action.
Now, what is the timeline when it comes to repossession of farms and things like that?
You see, there is no criteria in the banks are doing whatever they wish to do. For some guys, they give 2 years, 5 years. Other guys, 2 months. They don't have a criteria. We take them on a meeting where I've asked them several questions, and they couldn't answer the questions. That's the next day in the paper. I've asked him why they written off debts in other sectors of their division, but when it came to white farmer, there is no relief for the banks. They want all their money. And that's a fact, Scott. You ask any lawyer in South Africa, they write off debts. In other, we give him the chance to tell the story. The papers were all there.
Yeah.
And the papers, I've told the papers here, you are both for us and for them here. You are independent. And yeah, they all said yes, they do write off some debts.
But they want to... Sorry, Dwayne, over to you.
Yeah, Scott, I think this is where one of the biggest problems come in. It's one thing attaining funding and being declared a disaster zone. It's another thing whenever it's hot and cold. It's to a, if we can call it, a boardroom decision on whose land is repossessed and whose isn't. Suddenly you have a disaster declared region and you have farmlands that have just no leeway whatsoever with the bank, and then you've got alternate farms that have 4-5 years leeway, and this hot and cold mixture with one another likewise throw the farmers off something ridiculous. There's no set structure by which they're working because it is a disaster zone. They're feeling their way forward, and I think this is one of the biggest problems, and to be entirely honest, it would give one sleepless nights, because you never know when they're coming or what the agreement actually is. If they say, but we'll look at 4 years, and they suddenly come in 6 months, this is what's throwing a lot of these farmers off straight off the bat. Chris, your feeling on that?
Yeah, that's exactly what you've told. Now, some guys get 4 years. I would like to introduce Leon. He can tell you more about that. He's through the processes 3 or 4 times, I don't know. So I will give the question to Leon. Leon Venter. On my right, Leon.
Hi. Hi, Ray.
Hi, Leon. I did want to pose a question. We did receive it in from the side chat. Sorry, I can't remember who posted the question. But they want to know, I think it was Yaku. Christu, is this action committee part of the NCA Dexter community projects and the Boere Legion?
No, definitely not. We are on our own. We are just the Bultfontein Awareness Committee. We've gathered some farmers and we look for some sponsors. So we didn't just sit, and we've planted sunflowers. As you know, Brian, you were here on our farms. So no, we are just the Bultfontein Awareness Committee. We have no bonds with any other organization whatsoever.
Okay, perfect. So I want to open up the side chat to any questions. Remember that if you want to ask the Bultfontein farmers a question, you need to first type the @ sign, followed by either Boer and Broer or Loving Life, and Scott and myself will get those questions accordingly, and we can forward them on to the farmers as we go down this road. Now, Christu, if we look at the debt file in total, we're not only talking about the banks here, are we?
No, we're not. There's major agricultural companies like Senwes and Suidwes that are also suing the farmers. It's not only the bank, it's the whole agricultural business system in South Africa that are now suing the farmers left, right and center.
Now, Christian, are those businesses BEE controlled? In other words, do they have African CEOs and things like that now?
I think they do have yes, certainly the big companies like Senwes or Interland or Suidwes, and they do have BEE, yes, for sure. I don't know what stage BEE, but for sure they have BEE status.
Okay, because maybe that is part of the problem.
Yeah, Scott, I can't say that is part of the problem, but the BEE status is definitely there.
Yeah.
I can't tell you if it's part of the problem, but I can confirm that it's definitely BEE.
Yeah. with these big banks and the debt that you have for them, obviously, as you said earlier in your intro, the expropriation of land without compensation has had a huge impact on the value of farmland because there's so much uncertainty now. Have the farms recently revalued your farms and said, hey guys, you know, there's now a shortfall because of the lower valuations and things like that?
Yes, they do have evaluated our farms again, but they don't use the word land expropriation without compensation. So the banks are sitting here with big trouble. You know, there is no land selling in our region,
right.
And then the last price for the ground still stays. So the banks have all as a problem. But when the first farm will be sold next to nothing, then
yeah. Now, do you know? Are you aware of that situation in America where this farmer lost his farm and it went up for auction, and there were 200 farmers at the auction for his farm, and he turned around to his daughter who was with him and he said, you know, we got no chance here, because he only had something like $30,000 and the farm was worth about $500,000. And anyway, they put up the first bid. They put up a bid for their $30,000, and the auctioneer said, okay, who's next? You know, all bids. And none of the 200 farmers placed a bid. They just sat there and they did nothing. And the auctioneer reconvened that same auction 3 times, and the 200 farmers didn't put one bid in. And eventually he had to put the gavel down, and they got the farm back for $30,000 when it was worth about $200,000. Now, I don't know if the same sort of thing could apply at Bultfontein with the farmers if there's an auction coming up, but is that a plan that could be considered, or are there too many people from outside who'd come in and bid on farms?
no, we definitely think about it, but we cannot say farmers from outside Bultfontein will not be. And you know the technology is good, they can be online.
Yeah.
So we've discussed that if there's an auction in Bultfontein, they will know, our farmers will not allow it to do the auction. We will go to the auction, but yeah, that will be the same story. We will not bid on each other's farms.
Yeah, fantastic. That's great. Now, if we just go around the room, are there any other people in the room who'd like to just add to the conversation here? The people.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, I would like to comment.
Yeah.
Please, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Are you okay? All right. First of all, I just want to say, all right, thank you. Firstly, I just want to say that there will always be bidders on auctions. You are never sure that no one will come and bid on your farm, because you know what, Scott, I think sometimes we are our own biggest enemy, our own people. And despite the predicament we are in, you will always get someone who's going to cash in on that. Wants to buy a farm cheaply,
Yeah.
because he wants to expand, and in this manner you get the problem that there will always be someone who's bidding. If you can get a community to stand firm together,
Yeah.
you know, that's not traditionally South Africa. Let me tell you that. And I think this ideology of the awareness committee is a very strange concept for most of the people to understand.
Right.
Most South African, Afrikaans-speaking people. That's a very difficult concept. And that's what they are criticizing us sometimes. I think they don't exactly know what we are and what we are doing. All the goods that's flowing out of this committee, all the goodwill, all the camaraderie, all those things is a strange concept for most South African people, especially the farmers in the local communities. So That's one of our biggest problems.
Right.
I just want to address another thing
Yeah.
about the evaluation of the land. You know what happened? When you reevaluate land, the criteria that you are using is the previous farm selling prices that you had.
Right.
And that's not totally the right thing. You must also take into considerations the potential of the land, what it's really worth, what people were bidding on the land. Sometimes you get two farmers who's bidding against each other, and the price went on sky high. That's not really the good criteria they used in the banks. But the main problem is, in the good times, when we were partners with the banks, serious partners,
Right.
then everything was fine. If you want some money, some more money to expand,
Yeah.
or to do maybe better in your practices, you go to the bank, you ask them to say, all right, but first let me send evaluator to your farm. They re-evaluate your farm. Suddenly your farm's price is higher.
Yeah.
All right, now is everything fine. Now you get your loan, and so forth and so forth and so forth. And now suddenly they extinguished the partnership from their side. That's a one-sided thing. Suddenly now in the drought times, in the bad times, suddenly they're not your partners anymore.
Yeah.
Now they come and they re-evaluate your land again. So normally they won't sell your land if it does not go 80% of the real value of your land. They said, that's fine. Then you can still decide it yourself. Now suddenly they re-evaluate your land, they take it downwards, and suddenly it comes to near the price now that is going on at this stage in Bultfontein. Low prices, some people there's no real buyers. The few buyers that can buy maybe are afraid of this land exploitation or whatever they call it, but without compensation, they are afraid of that. They are afraid of their own financials. They're afraid of expanding. So there's so much factors that's working in on the price of our land at the moment.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous to sell the land now. It's ridiculous to put your land on auction because you've got no say over what is going on.
Yeah.
And if it's still going more down, they will eventually evaluate your land again, and if it will still come down, eventually you will get maybe, whatever the case may be, the lowest price possible, and then you're out on the street, down and out, and I don't know what's going to happen there. And that's the anguish that we are sitting with every day, every night. When you go to sleep, when you wake up in the morning, that's the only thing we think about. When and where is the next axe going to fall? On whose neck? And that's terrible. To live in such circumstances, it's absolutely ridiculous, terrible, it's devastating.
It's shocking.
But I just want to emphasize one fact.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Carry on.
All right, I just want to emphasize one fact very, very, very clearly. And that is that we must just remember one thing. When we were declared a drought-stricken district by the Premier of the Free State, the Free State Agricultural Union brought the Premier here to evaluate the situation.
Right.
And when that happened, there's certain procedures that must be followed. And the municipality manager and the people who are involved in this whole board, whatever you may call it, who is deciding over this, they should have written a report to a business plan, and to the report as well, to the Premier, to the Provincial Council, or the, what you call it, in Bultfontein, but they failed to do that. So there will be no money sent to Bultfontein or the Pele municipality, because they failed to do their work, their job that they should have done. And now we're sitting in a, I'm going to rephrase myself, we are really in a very big predicament, because the money that was made available for the farming industry in Bultfontein, as well as the municipality, is not going to realize.
Wow.
So I've been through this whole mill. I've got a summons that I must do something about my debt. I must sell my farm. My attorney put it on auction. They sold all my implements, all my tractors, lock, stock and barrel, and no one advised me that when you don't get 80% of the value of your land, you've got the right to stop the auction. And then you can generate something, or you can do something, or you can come to whatever agreement, or you can try anything. The bank was lenient at that point in time. That understand me.
Wow.
But I was not advised of my rights on that auction. After I sold everything, the bank said to me, all right, okay, now you don't have to sell your farm. Now you must carry on farming. With what?
Yeah.
That's a problem. We were not advised very clearly what our rights are, what we can do. There were no fighting, Scott. There were no fighting at that time. That was a clearly traditional sort of way that the banks went, that if you don't come pay your debt, you must sell something. And unfortunately now, 2 years later, after still droughts, we are in this situation that we are in now. And I praise God for His grace, working through awareness committee in Bultfontein, that came to our people, neighbors that helped you, a group of people that said, let's stand together, let's work together, let's do something, because no one is going to help us. No one.
Definitely.
No one.
I couldn't agree more. And just to bring that point full circle, I see we're currently running 160 viewers. I want to give you guys an understanding. Let's take a case scenario. Joburg has a earthquake. Half of you lose your houses, and the banks decide that you're all in default. Where do you live? That's what these farmers are essentially living with at the end of the day. This is what these farmers are fighting. So when Christu says this class action suit is pivotal for our country, it is pivotal for our country. If there is a natural disaster, let's take Durban for example. Imagine the banks started listing all residential, all commercial, all industrial that may default because of the floods in Durban. They start listing them one after another. It shows how important this class action lawsuit truly is by the Bultfontein farmers. It is a groundbreaking, it will change the way we understand natural disasters and what type of capacity and recourse the banks and or lenders have against those assets. How are you supposed to recover after a disaster? This is the big problem in the roundabout circle.
Now,
Christo?
it's just before Chris answers, let's face it, the banks are heartless. And, you know, they've just got no moral fiber at all. They're just heartless. And what I'd like to ask Christo very quickly is, Christo, you have a court action against the banks right now. Doesn't that prevent them from actually taking possession of your land because there's a current court case in the courts?
Pardon, Scott, I can't hear you. You've broke up.
Okay. Dwayne, over to you. I'll ask the question later.
Okay, 100%, Scott. Okay, so Yaku did ask how many Bultfontainers are in default with the banks that is on the verge to lose their farms. That's from Yaku van der Merwe. Christu, on a percentage-wise and the actual count, how many farmers are affected currently and are part of this class action in Bultfontein?
Currently, Dwayne, 35 is with the lawyer that banks have been taking steps towards them. There are 40
Wow.
And Bultfontein have only 170 farmers, I think, 196 152 farmers. So half the farmers are in deep, serious financial crisis. And if you look at the papers today, you will see that the auctions in Bultfontein, members, that is not part of our class action. There's still auction for those farmers as well.
So
Yes,
that means
yes.
they can still auction your farm even if you have the class action.
Yes, because the class action didn't start yet. They are all looking now at our individuals files and what we owe the banks, and then we will start the class action.
Right. Okay. Sorry, Dwayne,
Okay.
over to you.
No, it's perfect. It's perfect. I see a lot of people are in the side chat. We're definitely growing. Do the farmers, by John, do the farmers not think about forming their own cooperative and putting their money into that co-op and not in the bank? The farmers need to take control of their own finances and form their own banks. Now, Christo, you and I spoke, Helgard, you and I spoke about all of this. A lot of your guys' funds was centralized in a farmers aid system. I just can't remember what the name was, and they just refused to assist. Am I right?
No, correct message.
Okay.
Yeah, Brian. My name is Koenie Fourie. I'm the Vice Chairman of the Bultfontein Awareness Commission. It is Grain SA, South Africa, led by Mr. Jannie de Villiers. It is an institution that was created by farmers, where they subtract some of your money from your grain that you are producing, and that funds is in a big fund. And the other day, Mr. de Villiers was in the Volksblad paper, where he wants to take 5 billion rand of this money to support black upcoming farmers. He said they don't need land, they need money for insect costs. So he was willing to take from that fund 5 million rand to support these black upcoming farmers. Immediately Standard Bank followed, and they were willing to produce 30 million for the same purpose. Now my question is, these young farmers that is farming in Bultfontein and all over the country are also upcoming farmers, and there is no help for a young farmer in South Africa today from no institution that I know of. So what is the difference to take that Mr. De Villiers want to take and support a local commercial farmer that is in production, that knows how to farm, that knows how to provide a crop, and also is in the game? My question is, what is the capability of these upcoming farmers? What will it take to settle them where there is already farmers that can do this job?
But I think that's one of the main problems right across the board, Koenie, is instead of repairing and maintaining the system, and we find this right across the board. Let's take Eskom for example. Instead of repairing and maintaining the system, we build new. Instead of maintaining and repairing, we build new. If the farmers were maintained, kept on their feet, things were going the way it was supposed to be going, all of those new farmers would naturally come up in the ranks as it grows. But what we're currently finding is the existing farmers are falling away because there's zero support. The new farmers, whether it's black, pink, yellow, whichever it is, the new upcoming farmers getting all of these massive cash injections need to start from the word go. They need to buy brand new implementations. They need to develop a farm from the ground up, which takes 12 months. This we know. And depending on what farm it is, it can take up to 5-6 years, I believe, I think Chris and I said. But instead of maintaining what these guys have, they would rather go with something new. And I think that's one of the biggest problems.
For sure.
Yes, Dwayne, you are very correct on that comment that you made. My question always is, what is the capability of the this upcoming farmers? Where there is farmers that knows how to farm, that is in production. It's only because of an act of God that these farmers, by this drought, that these farmers has been now in a lack of capital to carry on. So to maintain them and to support them is the right thing to do at this stage. As you know, we got agricultural unions. It's the Free State Agricultural Union and as well as the Transvaal Agricultural Union. We as the Bultfontein Awareness Commissions has approached both of these unions in seeking help and support. And they did some things, we must admit that, but at this stage there was no agreement from their side to go to the government, because the agricultural minister in the government, there is a need fund there to support farmers in situations like this drought. And at this stage, they didn't go even to the minister yet, as we can say at this stage, because the lady of the Free State Agricultural support was in Bultfontein. The Bultfontein District's Agricultural Union arranged that she came. They give her a good evaluation what is going on in Bultfontein. She immediately reacted and said, in the same week they will gather in a meeting and there will be quick help that will come to assist the farmers in Bultfontein. But it's now more than 2 months and nothing has been heard from any help at this stage, Dwayne.
I just want to touch on something that Martin has said. I know for a fact that NetPro, I'm not too sure who NetPro is, receives a large sums of money for black development farmers, and I think what we need to take away from this specific section is it's not a case of building new farmers. That comes naturally when a country and or a sector functions correctly. You have younger generations coming up, either growing, building new, and so forth, so on, and that comes in very naturally. But when we start seeing it forced like this at the expense of our existing farmers, I think this is what brings about a lot of unsurety, where we actually do start getting quite worried, because this is a very big red flag, one way or another. And that ties into where I would like to go next. Davy, I want to direct this to you specifically. The quantity of grain currently in South Africa. Now, I've heard it all. Yes, no, everything's perfectly fine. Oh, we're on the brink, no grain left. What is a realistic expectation of the yield and what's currently available for South Africa? Taking the farmers away, it's just going to get worse. If it cannot be fixed, what is the current status of grain in the country, to the best of your knowledge, Davy?
Okay, Dwayne, we haven't harvested the upcoming harvest yet, but on the previous harvest, in July last year, Grain South Africa and all the guys were telling us that the country has 4 months of maize left, but they didn't tell us if it was white maize or yellow maize or what it was. And we're coming with this idea that we are storing up to 500,000 tons of maize on our farms. That isn't correct. And at the last times that meeting, they told us that there was 1 million tons of maize in the silos, but they couldn't give us any reason where that maize was. And the question is going to start here that we ask: is there so much maize in South Africa that we can sustain another drought? There isn't. When another drought comes to South Africa this year or next year, there won't be any food left in this country because the white maize crop, which was planted this year, was on a late, and the only two provinces that is using white maize as a type of food for all the people are the North West and the Free State. The Northern Transvaal, like Limpopo and Natal and the Eastern Free State and that region where alongside the Orange River, that's all the yellow maize production areas. And the yellow maize has got that creatine in it, and we're using it for animal feed and that. But white maize doesn't have that creatine in it, so we can mill it for food for people. And I don't think at this stage we had this harvesting committee. National Harvesting Committee. We have a national harvesting committee in South Africa, but it's all government linked, and they are telling, 1 year they are telling us, okay, now there's enough white maize in South Africa left, and by the next year they're telling us, oh no, we made a calculation problem, there was a calculation fault, somebody took the wrong numbers on the calculator, and now South Africa is 800,000 tons of white maize short. Remember, we have to import that maize. The only country that produces white maize out of South Africa is Mexico. But the Mexican white maize is the same as the grade 4 white maize and yellow maize here by us. It means that it is no grade for animal feed. So you are just throwing it away. So at that stage there isn't much. I don't think there's the full of surpluses in your grain silos. And if you're starting this year's harvest, let's say in 2 months' time, we will tell you how much maize the country produce. But at this stage, the crop is very late.
Yes.
I have stored maize on my farms that is soft in the crops. They're still soft. So if we receive another 2 weeks of no frost, it will go through. But if there's frost now, we'll be in very big trouble. Because at the 25th of April, the 15th of April every year, we received that first call of ours, but this year it passed. And after that I have seen it, got the videos about the sunflower, and they must pray for rain for us. And it was not 24 hours after that when that rain started, and we received a lot of rain. And that rain helped for cold to stay away. But I don't think it's that. I only think that God has a way with Bultfontein, and he's keeping us safe here and looking after the crop. That's all that I can tell you. But if another drought over 3 days, there will be no food left for us.
I just want to put something out there that Martin van Vieren. Martin, I just love your comments, man. Last year, August, there were 230,000 tons of yellow maize earmarked for China export. Do you guys know anything about that?
No.
No.
No, we don't know. We don't know about that, Dwayne, because the government is doing whatever they want. There's a terrible drought in Lesotho right now, and you know Lesotho is our middle province in the middle of South Africa. There's a terrible drought in Lesotho, and it was in the newspapers. There was one. It was one article. There was one article in a paper that says there's a terrible drought in Lesotho, and that was it. And all I can tell you is that the government has already helped that people. They are helping them, but that is which is going out of South Africa. That is being declared. And they are saying, no, we've got a lot of maize here. Because the average person in town thinks that he can just drive to his hotel and he enters the building and he buys his food from there, because Pick n Pay and Checkers, they are preparing the food. The food comes from Pick n Pay, but actually the food is coming from the farmer. We are first in the food chain.
Now,
Yes.
now Darby
And
or Krista, CH has asked, who owns the mineral rights on the farms?
The government. The government.
So they could, for example, just repossess part of your farm if there's coal or something like that underneath the ground.
It's they change regulations. So if there's mineral on your farm, they can take it away from you. There is no farmer in South Africa that have mineral rights. It all belongs now to government.
Wow.
So can I answer that one? We had mineral rights there at our farms, and about 10 years ago, the government said that they're gonna expropriate the mineral rights from our farmers, because they know that our region is rich in gold and coal, and we've got some of the highest concentrations of coal in our regions, and I think that's one of the reasons that they have expropriated without compensation that mineral rights already. So now all we want is the farms above. So I don't know how long are we going to survive this, to tell you that, but we are strong, and we are a strong committee, so we are not giving in at this stage.
I want to ask a question of basically each of you, and that is, let's say the worst scenario happens where you are basically thrown off your farms. What is your future then? What are you guys individually going to do? I mean, you know, let's look at the worst case scenario. Well, what is the future from there? Starting with you, Krista.
Well, Scott, then you must looking for work. In South Africa, you know the BE's statuses are very high for white men that are over 45.
Yeah.
So you must start over again at the age of 48. That's not the problem if you can, but if the bank just can decide, must we go, must we stay? Then we will make plans. For the other guys, Scott and it will be heartbroken, but they will end up in squatter camps. Because where can a guy go from age 65 or age 68? There's no work for him in South Africa. So I get is I must look for work.
That is just an awful thought.
The other guys can comment as well. Leon can as well. Leon, you can just comment. I don't know what will happen to you if the banks decided to hold the auction again.
Yeah, so let me tell you, if the bank decided to take my farm or to auction my farm again for the debt at any price whatsoever they need or want or be satisfied with, and I'll be still in debt at this moment in time because why? The banks are still requiring the rest of your debt that you are supposed to pay. But regardless of that, our assets were our pension. And when I decided that, or I decided a long time ago that one day, if my son don't want to farm, I'm going to sell my farm.
Yeah.
My debt is not near the value of my farm when it was last evaluated, and I will have a nice income. There were still a hunger for land. The people wanted to buy land, so I will have no problem selling my land or my farm. But with these political conditions now and the droughts, everything changed. Everything changed. There's no price for your land. So whatever it's going to be, the pastor said, maybe I end up in a squatter's camp. My wife already started working. I'm 66 years old. My son is in the United States of America working there to try and get some money. He was on the farm for 2 years. And so now we'll just have to see and wait. And if they chase me away, I'll be literally in the street. That's the hardness of it all.
You know what I keep on seeing in South Africa is that the government continually shoots itself in the foot. I mean, I'm surprised it's got feet left. You know, the sort of things it does, the decisions it's making, and we have a classic situation here where they gave you no money, despite there being a disaster. And as you say, they're giving millions of rand to new black farmers who really have got a lot to learn, and they're totally ignoring the really experienced farmers who can just keep on producing crops. It's just such a huge shot in your own foot. It really is.
Hi Scott, my name is Stefan.
Hi Stefan, good to meet you.
Fine, thank you. I'm a young farmer here in the Free State, and I'm one of the people that has received the summons from the bank. So for me, it's very frustrating as well because I know all the stuff. I'm farming for 15 years now, so I know what I'm doing. I know what to do. But if it doesn't rain, you cannot do anything because if you put a seed in dry ground, it will not grow.
Yeah.
So now I have received the summons, and I'm also staring in the eyes of no employment and not working because in South Africa, a white guy is standing last in row to receive any work. It is other people in front of you. So I'm also struggling and very frustrated with the stuff that is happening here in us. I have brought my summons to show you.
Okay.
It's from FNB.
Wow.
I received it on the 25th of April this year, and they are in the summons. They say I must pay back all my debt at one time. So that is for me. I must sell all my land and hope it realize the outstanding amount that I'm owing. And so it's very bad for me.
And do you
because I'm feeling I'm still young. I have 20 years, 25 years of work in front of me.
Yeah.
So I cannot see how they cannot negotiate with me and help me with my outstanding amount and give me another 15 years to pay back my debt.
Now, Stefan, are you married and have young kids? Stefan, are you married and have young kids or young family? I think we got a poor connection here. Dwayne, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes. I've definitely got you. Christy, can you guys hear us? I think they're frozen on our side.
Let me just try and bring them back in again.
Definitely. Scott, while you're doing that, hey guys, the artwork auction. Glenn, what are we on? Jaco van der Merwe at 1,000 on the bid. Come on, guys. You want that piece of work by Mia out of Bultfontein? All of the funds from this auction do go through to Farmers Aid South Africa. It helps impoverished minority individuals within South Africa. So if anyone's brave enough, come on guys, let's have a few bids, and don't forget to hit that like button. Hit it. Other than that, we did have a few questions that did come up, and you guys did enjoy the mineral rights question. And if we start going deeper into that mineral rights, do you know, as far as it goes with coal and so forth, so on, fair enough. But that's about where it ends in Bultfontein. With my last conversation with the farmers, there wasn't anything under the ground that was of particular interest that they knew of. We did cover it quite extensively in one of the previous interviews. Whether that was aired, I'm not 100% sure. It may be part of one of the interviews that weren't aired. But they're not entirely sure as to that there would be claims by China and interest by China specifically. So that's definitely one of them. I just want to come back to Martin's comment here, and you really get the grey matter working here. Martin, Stalin did the same in Russia. You want to make it impossible to farm, then the government don't need to expropriate the farms and keep international attention away from government. Do you know, Martin, I couldn't have hit the nail on the head any more accurate than that statement. I think that's a very good statement. It does take away from international attention. It does restrict farming, and there obviously is a reaction to the government's action. And this is what we're seeing: no support, alienating, the constant farm murders, no support for stock theft. This is a lot of what we're seeing straight out of Bultfontein. If you did look at some of our previous interviews, Helgaard, who is live with us there from Bultfontein, sitting at the, I think it's the back right or the back left, where he's had extensive stock theft right across the board. And he has been through quite a few vicious farm attacks and experiences, and I really take my hat off to him. He's still farming. You know, these guys are hardy. They're salt of the earth. These are the guys that feed our nation. These are the guys that keep those systems working. And much like what Davy said, he says, you got to pick and pay and you see food and so forth, so on. But the entire system and clockwork that works behind it, that's actually these guys. Glenn, do we have any new bids on that artwork?
Sorry guys, I'm just trying to get these fellows back online. I think they've got a problem with their internet connection at the moment. But we'll keep on trying.
Yes. Definitely. Guys, do you have any questions that you want to shoot through to me so long? Is there anything that you guys would like to discuss, or you would like me to move into a certain direction? Please drop it in the comments section to the left. You can direct it for myself. If you're not too sure how, hit the @ symbol, type Boer, B-O-E-R, it'll write my name out for you, and just type the comment. Thanks a lot, Glenn. Okay, so the painting's at $1,000. Come on, guys, let's try to grow that one up. Let's get some higher bids in on that. This is for Patrick and Farmers Aid. It is for the impoverished minority groups.
Yeah, the First National Bank, you raise a very good point there, Belinda. I saw the banking complaint report, and they have the second worst record in South Africa of all the major banks, the FNB. I think the worst one was ABSA, but they had well over 1,000 complaints about their practices. And while we're talking about banks and we're waiting for the farmers to get back online, I want to tell you a little story. I had 10 years at Barclays Bank back in the 70s, and a couple of my mates, who were still friends of mine, worked in the bank as well. And when I left the bank, they said, "Oh, Scotty, you're crazy. Why don't you just stick around? You get a great pension and all this sort of stuff." And one of those fellows now lives in Pietermaritzburg. And I went, when I was in South Africa in 2011, I went across and I spent a couple of days with the fellow. And I said, how are things going at the bank? He said, "I'm now a contractor to the bank. And what happens is all the experienced bank staff were replaced by BEE, and he travels around the whole of KwaZulu-Natal to go and fix up the stuff-ups by these bank managers who don't know what the hell they're doing in their bank branches." It's just crazy.
Definitely, Scott.
Alan, I'll put my...
You said in the 70s. But you're right. What would happen to your pension? You know, South Africa's got one of the biggest pension files currently in the world. And with expropriation comes asset and so forth, so on. Granny, do you know what? I am not a farmer. Hopefully one day I will be, because I look up to these guys. I take my hat off to them, and hopefully I can move my life in that direction one day. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay, so just a ghost. At Boer, why can't we as a group buy land for prepping and so on? When Scott says we have a lot of projects underway, that, we've got a lot of projects underway. And there are a few that we don't really get stuck into, but that's definitely something that is on the not on back burner, but a bit more silent.
We've got them back.
Yes.
Hi guys, sorry,
we are back.
I think you lost internet connection there.
Yeah, no, we are struggling. I don't know where I got lost with the signal with my story.
Yeah. But, yeah, so what I asked you was, do you have a young family?
Yes, I have 2 children. The boy is 9 and the daughter is 7. So I have a young family. We are staying on the farm.
Wow. So this is going to have a huge impact on you.
Yes, and on my farm workers as well, because I employ 7 people with their families.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, for them, it's also going to be devastating, because if the larger farmers buy the land, they are not going to use all of them, so they must make a other plan as well.
Yeah. Hi, welcome back guys. You're having a coffee break, are you? We're playing musical chairs here.
A brandy break, not a coffee break.
Now, just getting off the banks and finance for a second, you've also got another, what I'd call a double whammy, and that is all these farm attacks that are taking place. Is that something that's happening in the Bultfontein area?
Currently, we are having threats of farm attacks. They are hearing of possibilities of that. So we were, for a few years, we were free of that, but it's starting again now. I think it's because the people think it's not happening anymore here, so they are getting more. What is it? What? No, the people, the farmers, they think it's not going to happen to them, so they are getting relaxed, and the people are seeing that is organizing this crime.
I put a video up of a lady who's, works at polygraphs and things like that, and she's interviewed a lot of these people who've been involved in attacking farmers. And the message the message she had was that 99% of farm attacks involve someone close to you. They actually provide information to the attackers. So it might be a housemaid, it might be someone like that who's actually giving them information. And you know, if I was a farmer, I wouldn't have anyone near my house, because that's basically how they operate.
Yeah, now it is like that. And what they do is they, like my people that is stay for their children is in a town near me, Brandford.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take that children and they threaten this worker of mine and say they are going to kill her child if she doesn't cooperate with them. So that is why there's always someone, I think, involved near you in this form, because they are getting threats that something will happen with them if they don't help the other people that is planning the attack.
But the other interesting thing that she said was that they all believe in witchcraft, and if something goes wrong in the attack, they just scatter, because you know it's you know, they're absolute cowards. Now, what I was thinking is there something like a plastic monkey skull or something like that you know, they'll look at that and they'll say, oh, I don't know what it means, but I think in witchcraft it sort of means danger or something like that. But if they came across that while they're approaching your farmhouse, they might just scatter and go away.
Yeah, we must put Davy on that task, finding skulls.
Where's Davy?
He's drinking his coffee.
You cannot take Davy to find skulls. He's creating skulls.
Yeah. Sorry, Dwayne. Over to you. You're far away. I'm going to go to the little boy's room, so I'll be back shortly.
100%. We'll handle it from here. Okay, Moira. Moira's made a statement. The banks are in a win-win situation. There's no two ways about it. Moira, I couldn't agree with you more. The banks are winning all the way. Kuni, one of the big questions that are coming up is when urbanites or are unable to pay rent, when they're unable to pay their bonds. They just basically, I think it's the name is on the tip of my tongue, but they basically do present themselves in court, and a schedule is drafted up by which they're able to repay their debt file and say, you know, I can afford X amount per month. This is our income. This is what I can afford. Why is that not an option for the Bultfontein farmers? This actually isn't an angle I've thought of yet.
You see, Dwayne, there's a lot of criteria into the banks. As we said before, for many other criteria not found, there's a lot of writing off debt. In our cases, they got our land and they has a bond on it, and they are sure of their money. So they demand their money, but now it is a situation where they drop out, and as the prices has dropped, the value has dropped. The problem is, when you are in the legal department, you are bad at a payer. You can't go to another bank or another financial institution with your asset and produce a nice and also a plan of action, because you has been branded as a bad player. So you sit in a situation where they sit with your asset, you can't move on. I don't want to speak about my own situation, but although you have paid about 90% of they will keep you into the chains locked. They demand 80%, but they are not giving any capital to let you put a crop in and produce to repay another 10%. And that puts every farmer and especially the young farmers, in a very, very bad situation. You know, the average age of farmers in South Africa is 58 years. I'm 60 years, I'm getting 61. I'm farming for 42 years now. It was my passion. So if I must lose all my farms, where am I going now? You see, that is the point that we must make. I know how to farm. Most of us know how to farm. I think if you look at Bultfontein, it's a very good area to.
If I may.
Yes. Please.
This difference between urban housing and farm loans at the banks, especially at the banks.
Sorry guys, I'm
Not the
back.
land bank, but the commercial bank. And when you buy a house, urban house, you get a loan for. That's normally for the people who's getting salaries. So you can make you can be signed by for own the bank money, and you would like to make a loan on your farm, or you want to buy a farm. Say for instance, I want to buy my farm. At this moment in time, they give, or maybe give them a loan for 20 years, but the farmer pay the interest monthly when you get crop once a year and you are starting now. You see the catch-22 situation we are sitting in?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Now,
that's a big problem. They don't give you loans on such option.
Yeah. One of the things that my attention was drawn to is that the financial experts are suggesting that the rand will only be worth cents in the dollar by the end of this year. They're talking about a price of maybe 60 to 90 rand for a single US dollar. Now, when you consider that huge inflation that's going to be involved in that, and with what's happening with the petrol price. Now, I'm only telling you what these financial experts are suggesting. When Moody's degrades the rand to junk, which with Eskom they're probably going to do very soon, the rand is just going to implode in value. And what I've been suggesting to people in South Africa is they consider, it's up to them, but they consider, if they've got cash lying around, they put it into physical gold. You got the Kruger Rand in South Africa that you can buy them, and you just put those away because that's based on the US dollar. So let's say, for example, the rand crashes to say 60 rand to the US dollar. You've actually increased the value of your rand buying capacity by 400%. Because you will then be, when you sell it, you'll be selling it on the US dollar basis. So it's just a thought. I'm putting that thought out there.
Definitely. I think that's one of the biggies. And I saw a very nice comment here from Nigel. He makes such a good point. You know, you've got to cross all of the T's and dot all of the I's, and you've almost got to play the same game. And I hear what he's saying. They must go to court and ask the judge that the bank must produce the original documents where you signed and it is visible, not a copy. You must have the original. That is the law. I think going down each of these small little roads and really going into the finicky and finer detail could very well save one or two of the farms, especially if that documentation hasn't been maintained and stored correctly. That's just one idea. Now, I want to just give a shout out to Werner. He is currently leading the bid at 5,000 rand.
Whoa, who's that? who's
Werner.
Oh, way to go, Werner.
Yes.
Wow.
So
That's excellent.
and he he actually writes, okay, I grew up with a lot of these guys, Christo in particular. My bid is $5,000. Werner, I take my hat off to you. I'm very impressed, I really am.
That's fantastic.
Guys, if you have questions, start sending them through.
Okay, now what I've got from Darby today, and Darby, I love the emails I get from you. He sends me some great videos, and today he sent me 2 photos, which were of sunflowers in front of the church, and you know, there was another one with, I think it's in a garden, but they had all these sunflower heads, and obviously sunflower is a very important crop for Bultfontein at this stage. What is the status of the sunflower crops at the moment at Bultfontein?
So, can I tell Jaga to tell you that?
Sure.
Jaga was a busy work for that stuff. So he can tell you more about what we did with the sunflower and what we, of all the work which was being done with the community. He can tell you that. I will tell Jaga to.
Thank you, David. Scott, now currently the soil is doing good for a good crop.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. And obviously that'll provide a bit of income once you've got the crop sold to the associations. I think we're having, again,
Yes.
internet issues.
Yes, definitely. Christo, can you guys hear us?
Yes, we can.
So Jaga is going to tell you what Jaga is going to tell you we did from the start with everything he did for us. So he will have to.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Scott?
Yeah, I can hear you, Helgard. It's the internet connection is not great, but we can hear what you're saying. Yeah.
First of all, we want to thank our God for rain and grace and prosperity for the season. The banks, Westbank and other instances repossessed the farmers' equipment, tractors. But so the short of the story is that a lot of farmers don't have equipment left to work their lands.
It's shocking.
So we decided to start with an agricultural committee, which I'm the coordinator of. We have a few tractors and planters left. Between all the members, so we put everything together and start planting after the rain has fallen. The banks, F&B and institutions did not help the farmers with input costs and demand that we shall sell our farms and do what? So then we are very thankful for the following companies: Pioneer, MBFI, John Deere SA, John Deere Finance, and K2 Seed. They donated diesel and sunflower seed, wheat and maize. We planted the sunflower and we managed to plant all the donated seeds. So at this stage everything is doing well, and the purpose for the crops that we planted was not to repay debt. It was to survive the farmers and their families.
Yeah. You know, I just I admire you guys so much. I mean, you're going through so much shit. There's no one helping you, and yet you are just so stoic. You just stand together. You're just so determined to see this through, and your faith in God is amazing. I mean, I am sure that there is going to be an answer. Dwayne, do you want to raise anything?
Yes, definitely. Anu, we will get back to your question after we address one other one. Kuni, this is directly down your alley. You and I have spoken a lot about prepping and farm security. And I think those are some of my most favorite chats. I just like the topic. Concerned SA says, do the farmers have two-way radio emergency systems in place? In our area, every farmer checks in the morning over the radio. Kuni, if you can just dip a toe into this subject quickly on farm security, specifically within Bultfontein, because I was impressed last time.
Yes, Dwayne, we also are organized in farm security. We also used the marmot radios where we check in the morning and in the night. There is also a certain plan when farm attack or something like that happens. Everyone knows when, what, where to go. We close the roads and then we take it from there. Definitely there is a plan in Bultfontein. I think it started here. The whole Free State plan started in Bultfontein, the defense plan of the rural areas. And we got quite a nice plan that I don't want to tell on live, but we are very effective, and lots of farm attacks was being prevented, and also where farm attacks has took place, we have caught the perpetrators and bring them to court.
Fantastic.
Definitely. One of the scariest things that I witnessed when Vanessa and I were in Bultfontein is how the farmers actually track themselves at night, where there's a constant telephone call. Fine, you're leaving this farm. Okay, let's phone you when you get to that farm. Okay, so you've gotten to the main gate. Phone. Stay on the phone. Get to the main house. Open the main house. Do a walk through, or get into the house. Lock the house. Do the walk through the house armed. Is the house secure? Is the house safe? And only then do they actually stop communicating with one another. You know, Christy, that really affected me in a very big way. It's difficult, but it's what we need to do for our fellow man, for our brothers, for our community, for the people that stay next to us, because it's what they would do for us. And I think that camaraderie, that brotherhood of standing together is just something you find far and few between throughout this world, but it still exists in Bultfontein very much actively, and that was a very big thing for me. Sorry, Alpha?
Dwayne. On that point, we don't have a choice to do it otherwise. I was in that situation in the farm there, and where they killed my brother and shot me 4 times. So the thing that I can tell you is, if you don't get on the phone when you arrive at home, and tell everybody, or the other one at the other side of the phone, listen, okay, I'm here at the house, husband is going in, for instance, and you have to clear the house yourself. So it sounds like war, but that's the reality. In my situation, we didn't do that, and things turn out not good. So yeah, that is how things is going on the farm in South Africa.
You know what I find extraordinary is the claim that there are fewer farm murders now. And what they completely forget is the fact that the farmers have woken up and they're now defending themselves far better. But the actual number of farm attacks is increasing incredibly. But, you know, that never ever gets discussed by the media. That there was an article in one of the American mainstream fake newspapers just last week where they were suggesting that things are on the mend in South Africa because there are fewer farm murders. And what's happened, as I said, is the farmers have woken up and the farm attacks are increasing dramatically. Any thoughts about that, guys?
It is like that because we have put in cameras, we have alarm systems that my alarm, when it goes off, 3 of my friends get SMSs from that alarm.
Right.
And then they can see there is trouble. But I think now in the Cape province, that is where the farm murders is coming from now the most. Because I think that people, they don't have all that system in play. And that is why they are so tough. There with our homes, there's no home that has no DVR, I don't know what's DVR. There's palisades around the house and electric wires, and so we are trying our best to prepare for what's coming. And I think in the Cape province they didn't do that, and now they're in trouble there.
Yeah.
And that's why there is less farm attacks here with us.
Now, what would be the impact of the farming community leaving the Bultfontein area on the town of Bultfontein?
It will be devastating, I think.
So if we can I tell you, if all of us in the Bultfontein region leave the farms here, our gross income just in the Bultfontein region is over 1 million. So what is the miljard trot?
Miljard.
1 miljard.
1 billion. Yeah.
Billion.
1 million.
It's million.
1 miljard.
Same.
So that is our income just in the Bultfontein region. In the Bultfontein region, between which 154 farmers, our income which we generate for South Africa is over 1 million of rand.
Right.
And that to dollars is about, I can say about $1 billion. So about what million? $1 million. Yeah. $500 million.
Now the total income for Bultfontein from the farmers is 1 billion rand.
Wow.
That's about
750, no, about $400 million. Yeah. It's a huge amount of money anyway.
That's the income just for Bultfontein farmers. And if we live here, the Bultfontein community will collapse totally.
Yeah.
Because we are giving people work here. Kuni is now working potatoes here in Sun. And we are employing over 200 people in one day. And if you go to 5 days, and you took that salary, but we are giving where people who are working for him, and now all of a sudden all the farmers is gone. Now there will be mass starvation in Bultfontein itself.
Yeah. You know, that's where the government shoot themselves in the foot. Yeah. Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
Now, Scott, you know what the problem is? we all know about these mega farmers, and that's fine, that's good. All good luck to them, and yeah, I congratulate them, and I salute them, the good farmers. But two or three mega farmers can't keep a town going. They can't maintain a town.
Yeah.
He can buy the tractors, he can deliver his maize, he can use all the mechanics that are available in a small town. But there will be no school, there will be no supermarkets.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 or 3 or 4 mega farms cannot maintain a small town. That's just impossible. So the whole of the local towns are going to crash. You know, infrastructures will just disappear from Earth as if they were not at all. Eventually we get shanty towns or informal settlements. That is what's going to happen.
So, Scott,
I don't know if that's a good thing, but I don't think the government does.
Yeah. Sorry, Dwayne.
Scott, if we look at the financials of it, right, on estimated, we're looking at 32,000 Rand being injected into local workers per farmer per day in Bultfontein. Wow. So if we take Kuni's farm, just Kuni by himself, one Kuni is injecting 32,000 Rand per day into those local communities, those local workers. Now, if we take a mega farmer, they're not employing all of those local community workers, that I can guarantee you.
Everything's automated.
Exactly. The entire system falls apart.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Now, do you guys have a message for the banks? I mean, if this was a global stage, okay, and I'm putting this question to Krista, if this was a global stage, and in your situation right now, what would your message to the banks be?
Scott, we must negotiate with the banks, and we hope we find a solution for these problems that we have. Everyone in Bultfontein is under severe pressure financially. But we've spoken a lot to the banks, and some of the meetings hasn't gone well. But we are still so that we can farm. And I wish we can, for the whole sake of Bultfontein, I hope we can reach an agreement so that we can stay on the farms and so that there be food security, because nobody thought about food security. And that will be a major problem in South Africa in about 1 or 2 years' time, because all the Zimbabweans and all the locals from the northern part of Africa is streaming in South Africa. And that will be it. And that's where the major problem is going to be when there is no food. When there is no food, the killings begin to start.
Yeah.
You know, the crime will rise sky. So I hope there is no negotiation with FNB. I hope for the best. If they don't want to do that, then we go to court.
Yeah. Well, you know, the crime rate in the cities is escalating very, very fast. You know, Dwayne, just the other day we were on live stream and there were shots, and his neighbor was actually attacked in his house while we were on live stream. And this is now happening. Home invasions are rampant all over the cities of South Africa now, and it's because you've got so many people who are, you know, going out like in little crime gangs because they're looking for food and they're looking for a cheap way to just steal something. It's getting very, very bad.
Definitely. So you got my mind really now.
Dwayne, do you have any other questions you want to ask the guys?
No. I think we've covered a lot of it. What I would like to ask the viewers, hit that like button, and if you can support the Bultfontein farmers, please, guys, speak to your family, speak to your employers, your employees, get the message out there, get onto WhatsApp. If you're part of a prepper group, share this video. Get the Bultfontein story out there. It is essential that, and there's only one way we're getting that right, and that's by telling people and talking about what's happening to the Bultfontein farmers. Because, as I said previously, if, for example, Durban is stricken, what if the banks came about and started repossessing your house in a disaster scenario? Start getting the word out there. This class action will benefit everybody right throughout South Africa. They need support, guys.
I think if we could get the message that you've got this class action happening in front of people like Johan Rupert and other guys who've also got farms, I think they would be very interested in being the White Knight. How we do that, I don't know. Apart from just giving them the link to this video. Any thoughts on that, Christo, or anyone else?
I mean, we were thought that we've arranged with our attorneys that we will pay them after the sunflowers when we harvested the sunflowers, but we didn't want to get involved with the big guys in South Africa.
Yeah.
We can ask them nicely if they want to support us. It will be very nicely for us.
Yeah.
But yes, we didn't go that route.
Yeah.
Scott, I want to make one last comment, please. As you said here tonight, speaking to you, I'd like the opportunity to make one plea. And I want to really, really, really emphasize this plea. Please, banks, become our partners once again. All the financial institutions that lend our money, that we've got loans with, what we are in debt with, become our partners once again.
Yeah.
And let's start working on something. That's fine. I'll see what I can do. But for the this is so heartbreaking to see these guys suffer a split that won't allow us. Although they've got insurances and they've got all the securities in place or whatsoever, now we are bending under a big drought and all taking without compensation. All those kinds of stuff is working on us, and I don't think we're going to take it anymore. Really, I don't know how long it's going to take before we all collapse emotionally, mentally. I don't know. But as long as we can do something, we will go on, and we will fight this fight. We'll stand together, and we will try to do anything. But we ask the banks, we plead with the institutions, please, give us a chance. Give these young boys a chance. Please, let us keep our farms. Let me go on, produce.
Yeah.
And let us farm our way out of debt. We will really do that. I can promise them. We're not bad farmers. Really.
Well, you're fantastic farmers. No, that's a pleasure. Now, look, we're not closing off yet, unless you guys need to get back home. I wanted to pose this to you, that it's clear that the banks have just been absolutely heartless. I mean, they're just turning their backs on you. And when you consider each one of your family's history on those farms and the probably generations that you guys have been paying bank loans to actually provide food for the table of their families, doesn't that really stick in your craw? Doesn't that really upset you that they can actually do this to you after all those generations that your family have been paying those loans, have been, clients?
yesterday I drove on my farm, and I was thinking about the same thing, because I'm the fourth generation on that is farming there, and it is stuff that is happening with I'm not on the weather, and because of that, I'm gonna lose the stuff that we love doing, because the banks, they don't understand what is the problem. It's not me that's not delivering it. It is I cannot deliver in this drought anything. So it's out of my hands.
Yeah. Well, guys, once we close this live stream off, what I'll be doing is I'll be making a copy of this into the main Loving Life channel, and I would be calling on everybody who's in the side chat right now to please, once I've done that, send that link to every single bit of social media you can find, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Just get the message out there. Let's get this message really flying around the internet. It'll probably take me about 5 or 6 hours to do that, so I'd say it's probably Monday morning your time in South Africa that I'll have this done, because it takes a while for the YouTube processing thing to actually take effect, and only can I then copy it and put it up on the other channel. Dwayne, is there something you'd like to add?
No, I think we've covered a lot. If I'm going to close off, if I can just touch on some of the live streams coming up.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So, guys, some of the
carry on, Darby.
Dwayne?
Yeah.
I just want to ask Scott something.
Yes.
I just want to tell him that we heard about the election in Australia, and yeah, there will be next time, and we wish you all of luck here in Australia, and thanks for the live stream with us, and I also want to say hi to Glenn, there in Vegas. Maybe we'll meet one day.
Yeah, Glenn's in the side chat. Now look, I had a question posed to me earlier, and I've forgotten who it was. I'm sorry. There's been so much happening tonight. He said, "How did you get involved with the Bultfontein farmers?" And well, there's a very simple answer for that, and that's the guy standing at the back. That's Darby, who's been an absolutely amazing flag carrier for the Bultfontein farmers. And I just want you guys to know that, you know, he's been extraordinarily involved in the channel, and keep it up. You know, that's really good stuff. Now,
yes,
Dwayne, is there anything you'd like to? Are you going to talk about the live streams, aren't you? Look, we're not shutting off yet. We're just bringing it up because we're going to see what happened with the auction too.
Okay. Yeah, no. Do you want me to do that now?
Yeah. Talk about the live streams we got coming up.
Okay, so the new live streams that we are going to be introducing are midweek live streams. That will be Scott and myself again. And two of the live or the upcoming live streams, as per popular request, is USAF, as you all know. So get those questions ready for USAF. And the other one is the secession group, the FFR. So we will be doing both of those in this coming week. We will put out a promo during the course of tomorrow. So look out for those, guys. Scott, I think that's about me for this, for everything. Is there anything else that you would need me for?
Look, if you got to go, Dwayne, that's fine. But thank you so much for your involvement, and congratulations on being our second hero in the channel.
Thank you so very much, Scott. Thank you.
Just adding to the live streams, our Sunday night live streams, we're hoping next Sunday, I'm not going to say any more at this stage, but we're hoping to have the great debate next Sunday. So we're still basically just waiting for clarification from one of the parties who's basically, I think, has said that they should be able to make it, but I'm not going to say anything more until they confirm they can make it. One person has said yes, they'll be there. So that's going to be a...
Wink, wink, he is on the side.
No.
I can't wait for that debate. I cannot wait for that debate. So, yeah.
And the other news is that the grandson of Dr. Hendrik Verwoerd, who's with the Freedom Front, Dr. Boshoff, has asked if he can come on the live stream, and we're looking just still to be finalized, but we're looking at early in June, the first Sunday in June, having an interview with him on Loving Life live stream. So that's the updates on the live stream on this side. Okay, so there are no further questions anybody wants to ask here? While we're just waiting, I just want to confirm to you guys that we'll do everything we can to publicize your plight to the wider community on the internet, okay? As I say, I'll put this up on my main channel.
Thank you.
And we'll also get people here to put this out into social media, and hopefully this will go what they call feral, or it just goes viral. And if that happens, I think you're going to find a huge amount of exposure. So you never know with the internet, but let's just hope that happens. Now, going around the room, is there anyone there who'd like to add to the conversation we've had tonight?
You can tell Patrick that we will be seeing him in, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks' time. And after when the White Man's Harvest is starting, we have a plan to ask all the farmers to donate, let's say, 1.5 tons of white maize, of all the white maize producers in Bultfontein.
Yeah.
So that we can open a miller's account at the miller, and when you'll be seeing more from us in about every month time. So we can transport about 3 tons easily every month. But
Wow.
if there's a lot of money at miller's account, then we can, we as a committee, or Stefan with helping us, and Kuni, and Leon, and Christo, and Jelga, and Andries is sitting there in the corner, so he doesn't see it. And of all the members of this committee who is helping us, we can make a big difference to the people who is living in that squatter camps who haven't got, and we really want to make their lives better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult here, but we can make a plan, because God has, at this stage, everything looks good on the fields, and we are just going to do it. That's all.
Okay, fantastic, Darby. You know, you are a real angel. You know that. That's why you're one of our channel's heroes, and you know, I really respect everything you've done, all the help you've given, and believe me, it's noticed and it's recognized, and so many people on this channel just say, "Oh my gosh, Darby is such an amazing fella." Okay, and we got another amazing fellow here in the presence of Dwayne, who's doing so much for this channel as well.
Thank you so much.
All right, I've seen that there are no more questions to us. I know it's getting late in South Africa, and the farmers have got to get back home and make their calls on their way and stuff like that. thank you guys for participating. I know you've got your wives with you, and thank you to the wives who we haven't seen, but do they want to just come around and join the conversation for a second?
Scott, yes. Let me just, on behalf of the Bultfontein Awareness Commission, as well as all the farmers in Bultfontein, we want to thank you especially, and also for Dane, in your involvement in our problem. The way that you reach out to us and you try to help us is very good of you, and we appreciate it very much. And may God bless you in your task, in all the way that you are helping people around the world with your channel and also your reach out and your care. For you both, God may bless you in your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Krista.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Now, what I would ask is, Darby, can you send me the banking details for the fund or the lawyer where you need that money? We'll just put that out on the web page, and I might just put my email address there as well. And you never know what might happen, but let's just make that information available.
Definitely, definitely.
All right. I don't think there are any further questions. Now look, the side channel are going ballistic. They're saying, we love the farmers. So you're getting a lot of support.
Thank you very much. We love you.
All right, guys, I'm going to sign off. And thank you so much, Dwayne, for being part of the conversation tonight.
Pleasure, and a special thanks to we still have the auction, and a special thanks to everyone that's donating. And Pesky Color, thank you so very much for your donation. He says he will most certainly donate. I really do appreciate it, and there are so many people that make these live streams possible. And tonight I just want to give a shout out to Mel. How's it, Mel? Thanks for all of your hard work, guys. You really do support us on these live streams, without which none of this would be possible. So we're giving you a shout out for all of the selfless hours. It is much appreciated. Scott, do you want to close off with the Bultfontein farmers, and then I think we finalize the auction?
Yeah, what we'll do, just so the farmers know, is once you guys head off home, we're going to be finalizing the auction of that piece of artwork that Mia has donated. And what I'll do is I'll get Mia on live,
yes,
so that we can actually have a chat with her while the final bidding for her artwork happens. All right, guys, have a great evening. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. I've seen a lot of you in videos, but it's the first time we've actually, had the opportunity to talk. And I'm in awe, because you guys are you're the rock of the earth. You're the people who make South Africa tick. It's a complete disgrace that they're doing this to you. Anyway, we'll try and use our influence on the channel to try and get more publicity for your situation.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, take care, and good to see you again, Dwayne. Are you going to join the?
Dankie julle, lekker aan.
Okay.
Bye.
Tot ziens.